Well, hello, good evening, and welcome to the program. This is Daily Politics live on Trust TV, your go-to destination for everything politics, policy, and governance. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Welcome to the program. Tonight, we dissect the shifting political landscape in Nigeria. Ahead of the 2027 elections, the stage appears to be set for what promises to be yet another showdown for what many Nigerians hope will be the decider of what may come in the near future. The economy, the state of security or insecurity, as well as other structural issues such as employment, unemployment, and the rest continue to shape the agenda. However, the political alignments and realignments are beginning to take shape, especially with yet another contender in the mix. The SDP appears to be the growing third force within the Nigerian political arena. But what do these realignments mean in light of everything that is dear and near to the hearts and minds of Nigerians? How much of it is politics? How much of it is about developing the polity in the interest of the country as a whole? And what do these realignments mean for the ruling party, which appears to be the Titanic that is slowly sinking in terms of the political atmosphere in the country? Well, joining me on the program tonight is someone who knows something about the political landscape in Nigeria. Adamu Garba is an APC Chieftain and is here to help us navigate some of these emerging trends and the political landscape in Nigeria. Compliments of the season to you, and thank you so much for joining us on the program. It's good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Right.
Good to see you too.
Let's start on that last point I made. A lot of people consider the APC the biggest political party in the country right now, but all doesn't appear to be well in light of what has been happening over the past couple of weeks. Do you feel like your party is the Titanic that is slowly but definitely sinking?
I think it's just a political equation. And if you notice, what is happening is basically from the opposition side. Nothing basically is happening within the party other than the good things and the normal party programs. In fact, there was a mini convention that was held most recently, and there was overwhelming support for the leadership of the party. Now, the reason why we are seeing some turbulence is because there are some people within the APC that are shaking the ground in the opposition camp, especially the SDP. So that's why people are thinking that APC is actually sinking.
So you're not losing any sleep about all the political movements that we've been seeing right now? You're not bothered?
It's actually, anybody that will tell you is not bothered is not altogether sincere. Because Nasir El-Rufai, no matter how we want to castigate him and simply because he left our party, doesn't mean that we have not lost a considerable force, right? So it's not a good thing. And at the same time, we also expect so many from within the party, because we have seen a lot of signals, we have seen a lot of expression of dissatisfactions, we have seen so many of them making their intentions towards opposition parties. So it is not altogether a good thing for the party, because party will want to have everybody on board. If we are lucky, we want to have the 230 million Nigerians as members of the APC. So a situation whereby you are 230 million and you lost one person, you should be worried. So I think it's a worrisome situation, but altogether, the party is still in the lead.
And do you think this is a trend or is a one-off with the likes of El-Rufai departing the APC? And we understand that there could be more departures in the next couple of weeks or months. Are you worried about this being a trend, or do you think that this is just a one-off?
Yeah, I think it should be a trend, right? Because there are so many people who have been within the APC, but since the coming of the Tinubu administration, they felt sidelined. So they were trying to find a political relevance. And you know, in politics, whenever you are not treated as a relevant factor, you always try to define where you should be respected if you are not patient enough. So maybe we should see this trend, because there are so many people within the APC that have been dissatisfied. So expectation that they should move is very high. And I think from the beginning, even the party itself understood that there are some people from within that are not satisfied with the status quo. So the best solution is to draw a line and expect this possibility. So this possibility that is happening is already been anticipated. And the fact that it's manifesting itself means that to some people within the APC, it is giving opportunity for a filter to remove those ones that we are doubting, so that we can continue to run with those that we don't have doubt about them. But to some people, again, within the APC, party cannot be 100%. You must have the good ones and the bad ones and the ugly ones. So the best solution is to allow everybody to be in. The fact that they are in, no matter how bad they are still within the in. So when it is going to have an accident, they will lose along. So there are a lot of permutation that is happening, but of course I think it's a trend. We should see a lot of movements.
Unlike other party stalwarts in the APC, you appear to have a diplomatic approach to the departure of the former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai. But talk to me about his message, because it is quite poignant. His assessment of where the APC is right now as a political party vis-a-vis its leadership of the country. What are your takeaways from his departing message leaving the APC?
Yes, the takeaway, when you construct the entire agenda from the time Malam Nasiru finished his governorship seat to the time he was nominated to be the minister, to the time when he was disqualified at the Senate, and up to that moment, till this very moment, there is a point of, you are trying to humiliate me, so I will also try to find a way to respond back. So it's more of a personal,
you think everything is emotional?
Yes,
about?
I want to believe it is more of a motive, a personal issue, much more than the political differences. Of course, the fact that you are not on the table, and you used to be in the table since 1999, now you will naturally not feel nice about it. So, and whatever decision that is being taken, rightfully or wrongly, since you are not on the table, you are out. So that's how he felt. He felt like he's out of the game and that he's not happy about it. And because of that, he took this decision based on his personal conviction that what is happening is not right. And even when they asked him in Arise TV about the policies of the government, he said they are very good orthodox policies. The only thing is that the sequencing was wrong. So most possibly, if he would have been on board, he will manage the sequences. So I see it more as a personal decision than a collective interest of everyone.
And finally, on the El-Rufai point, his political ally in Kaduna recently got arrested immediately after announcing his departure from the APC to join the SDP. And Malam Nasir El-Rufai has sounded the alarm, saying that this is obviously bad for democracy. People cannot afford to watch this happen. The perceived witch hunting of political opponents. What do you make of some of these developments? Because sometimes we see people laugh and smile about defections. Sometimes, it's quite nasty. Case in point, what is happening right now in Kaduna State. It looks like the knives are out since his departure from the APC. What do you make of these developments?
Yes, I think I had his statement, and I read it, and I also had the one that he did in audio in TikTok, and so I think we should wait to hear from the side of the government as to what is the reason why the arrest has taken place. We need to balance the equation before we make conclusions. Right. But of course, he has the right to say that he's been witch hunted, because as soon as you decamped, you are arrested. So that's a pointer. But why did the government do these attacks? So I think we need to wait for the government response before we make conclusions.
So you're not worried that our political tolerance is, going down? Because that is also something that has been attached to the Tinubu administration. Some of the arrests recently made by security forces appears to be targeting people who are quite critical of the administration.
Like which of the arrests?
The former executive secretary of the National Health Insurance Program.
Yeah.
For instance, a lot of people say it's politically motivated.
Yeah, there could be politics as to part of it, but there is an allegation. Is the allegation wrong? Right, so this is the question.
You see the timing of, his and everything. It's quite suspicious.
That's what it is.
And then the allegations are stemming from 2018 and 2019, and we're in 2025.
Yes, but it's that there's an existing allegation. So the fact that there's something to substantiate the arrest, it means that if you want to come to equity, they say you should come with clean hands. So maybe there could be politics. Maybe there is an allegation, but I want to believe that since it's security agencies and it was found that he has committed those things that they said, although he was granted bail, the case is still in court. So we should wait and see.
So you're not worried that your party in power is appearing to be authoritative?
Yes, to be very candid with you, there are so many of these issues. And if you look at what is happening in Rivers State, if you look at what is happening in Lagos State, these are not sounding very good. It might not be that the party is not authoritative, actually, but the optics are not good. right? So, and sometimes when you are in leadership, you must learn to balance public opinion of you and the actual implementation of the law, so that there can be balance. Because so many people are saying that there is high-handedness in the situation of Lagos State Assembly. And also so many people, personally, I am not happy with what happened to Fubara in Rivers State, even though I am an APC member. And then you have Wike also, PDP, APC member. So when you look at this, there are so many people within the APC too that are not happy about what is happening, because you can't use the law to shut down the process of administration. So all those kind of things are things that we need to balance in the party.
The president has really recently, spoken about what's happening in Rivers. I mean, at the onset, he did step in. We heard of that famous peace accord or deal that obviously has been thrown out by both parties. But when you look at what's happening in Rivers, for instance, what worries you the most about the entire situation, away from the politics of it? What worries you the most about
Actually, what worries me is the fact that some people in Rivers State, maybe the Minister of FCT, need to accept the fact that the politics of godfatherism no longer holds sway. Godfatherism is good, but not the high-handed godfatherism, make and break kind of godfatherism. That doesn't work, because if it works, it will have worked between him and Amechi, right? So sometimes when you get a position and you are a platform to which someone got into that position, give him the opportunity to rule, right? Give him the opportunity to exercise his own capacity. Now, if you have this agreement with him, identify a channel to which you can ameliorate these issues, as opposed to coming publicly and issuing some threatening statement and celebrating victory for failure of the person you groomed and put in that seat. So I don't think it's actually democratic. I think sometimes we need to be more mature. We need to be leaders. We need to understand that there are always problems that may happen, and that we have to have a very responsible approach to fixing the problem, rather than, taking a winner, takes all kind of mentality all the time.
Yeah. And as an APC man yourself, do you want the president to step in and, just put an end to this chaos in Rivers State? Because it is an issue that has grabbed the attention of the nation since it started, to be honest.
Yes, you see, the president is a very strategic person, and he's always very democratic. Rivers elections or Rivers politics has always been turbulent, from the time of Peter Odili to Celestine Omehia to Amechi to Wike. There's always this turbulence whereby one actor from the outside is fighting one actor from the inside, and you have double-edged sword. Who are you going to compromise? This is the president that is facing 2027 election. Is he going to go against Wike, who is very productive member of his government, for Fubara, or is going to go against Fubara, who is going to contest the election together with in 2027 against Wike? So this is a confusion. So the best solution is let the Rivers Elders Council handling their political issues, similar to the way the Governance Advisory Council in Lagos solved the issue of the Lagos State Assembly crisis. So that's what the president
expects. It does appear just like Lagos. The president had the final say, because from our understanding, the meeting he had with Obasa and Miranda, it appears that he has overridden whatever arrangement we thought was going to happen, that Obasa is going to come back and step aside. It appears that Speaker Obasa has the president's confidence now, and he's coming back to stay full time.
Yes, because and don't forget that the president has been a leader of Lagos, and almost all these people, he built them. So the fact that he is able to step in Lagos crisis means that he is trying to go to his home and put it in order. And it is expected that Wike and Fubara can come together also with the Rivers Elders Council, to put their own house in order. A situation whereby the president will come into their internal local politics that is outside his own party, it will seem to be an interference, right? Since there is no imminent security threat. Supposing there's an imminent security threat, then the president can intervene. But the fact that there's no imminent security threat is still political. So they should be mature enough to fix their problem. And I think that's why the president did not step into this issue.
So for the stakeholders in River State who think the president is playing favorites here, or at least at best sitting on the fence, and they blame him for the escalation in River State because the governor earlier made an announcement or an effort to say that next week he hopes to present the budget before the State Assembly as provided for in the judgment by the Supreme Court, only for us to hear that the State Assembly is going on an indefinite break. safe to say that, this drama is only getting a lot more interesting and a lot more tense. Do you blame other people from River State or outside of River State who care about what's happening, who think that the president has all it takes to put an end to this mess, but
I think
just being a bystander?
The issue is, I think that shouldn't be the president's interest, to the best of my knowledge. It is an issue between governor and the state assembly members. And the state assembly members said that they are not interested in allowing the governor to come and present the budget. Don't forget, he has presented the budget with 4 loyal assembly members to him. Without them, because they make a drastic mistake of decamping to another party, which he went to court to get an injunction. So maybe because the court has now ruled in their favor, they are trying to get back at him too. So you punished us for so many times. Now it's time for us also to get back at you. So it's just an internal political issue on River State, and they have to find a way to put their house in order.
Right. Okay. Let's get back to the defections. Following Malam Nasir Rufai's departure from the APC, joining the SDP, news went round, a list purportedly went round with a list of some high-profile political figures that are likely going to join the SDP. It is the new bride now. We have the likes of Major Hamza El-Mustafa recently also joining. Comedian MC Tagwai also joined. I don't know how much political currency he has, but it does appear that the SDP is becoming a formidable political platform. I know you've seen the list. If it were true, because some people on that list have come out to deny that they're planning to leave, but if there's some potential there, because we also saw Peter Obi in Bauchi this week with Bala Mohammed, and Governor Bala Mohammed was quite categorical. He said he has no problem working with the likes of Peter Obi as long as it's in the interest of Nigeria. Do you worry that there is some momentum outside of the APC when it comes to preparations for 2027?
Yes, there is a momentum, but most of which is a bubble, right? It's a bubble, it's still a cloud. Why? Because there is a palpable anger about the way the country is being governed. So whoever wakes up to say, I'm now opposing the government, have natural tendency to get all the people that are angry to now point their anger towards him. So it's just a kind of a euphoria that will soon disappear when the reality sets in. And that is why those lists, the people on the list...
But it didn't disappear in 2014, 2015 when APC came about. In a similar fashion,
the situation of this 2027 is a situation almost similar to what we have in 2004. It's not what you have in 2014. Because in 2014, there are mergers of credible, strong political parties with strong governors and a rapid, strong South-North alliance with the strongest voting blocs joining together to confront the government of the day. That's during Jonathan. But if you go back to 2004 election, the 2003 election that produces Olusegun Obasanjo, you will see the pattern, and that's the pattern that is gradually even being built, right? You have North Central, some Southeast, Southwest predominantly, and some part of Northeast going together for the president, and then the core voting bloc of the North that used to predominantly support Buhari will now default to its initial zone to continue to vote into the opposition's cadre. And I think if you look at the political permutation that is going, even the presidents, the APC, and the strategies are trying to drive this equation across this plane so that these areas are properly locked in the box. If you have some chunk of South, South, Southeast, you have Southwest. Now, you have some elements of North Central and Northeast, you are good to go. Because Northwest is likely going to default to opposition. And the fact that Nasir El-Rufai came from the Northwest and is getting a lot of rapid support from the same Northwest, so this is the likely outcome that is going. So this election, you equate it much more appropriately with what happened when APP became AMPP in 2003, and when the election was conducted, against Olusegun Obasanjo and General Muhammadu Buhari at that moment. So
you're worried, but you're not that worried?
Frankly, I'm not that worried, seriously, because up till now, the coalition hasn't gotten his house in order, right?
Is it because it's too early?
It's not because it's too early. It's because when you look at the coalition, who is going to step out for who, and who is going to give in for who? Everybody wants to be the one on the top. Even in the SDP, the previous presidential candidate is saying that everyone knows that I will be the flag bearer in 2027, right? And then he's automatically, downplaying the effort and the aura of Malam Nasir El-Rufai for joining the party. So again, you now have from PDP, you have Atiku Abubakar, you have Peter Obi, you have Bala Mohammed coming in. Who is the president? Who is going to be the vice president?
How? Of course, they're not going to tell you. So you're going to have to keep guessing.
So until this thing is clear, so that way we will now know that they are really serious. But for now, it is just. But although when you look at the opposition's cadre, they are trying to pick the major opposition parties and bring them together. Somebody like Malam Nasir El-Rufai will go to SDP and dominate SDP. You already have PDP in the bloc. Now you have Labour Party in the bloc. So the combination of this triangle, at the end of the day, when they come together with or without NMPP, if they join together, they are going to form a formidable force. Maybe that's the equation they are trying to look at.
Okay. Also, as part of those defections, the comments that Malam Nasir El-Rufai made after joining the SDP, and even before that, there was a national conference about strengthening democracy where he says, listen, the APC is not just standing by as a ruling party, it is facilitating some very clandestine, efforts to undermine other political parties, especially parties that it considers threats to its political sustenance. And that is why some of these opposition parties, the most notable ones, the PDP, the Labour Party, the NMPP, are mired with a lot of controversy. You recently paid the SDP a visit alongside some key political figures in the APC. Is that laying credence to that thought that the APC has its hands in all the other political parties?
Yeah, the truth of the matter is, if you have political parties that are not organized, that have no ideology, that are willing to sell out, who are you that you don't want to buy? Because everybody is in the market.
You realize that you're saying yes, the APC is responsible for the mess.
No, I'm not categorically confirming that. But what I'm saying is that if you go to the market, you want to buy my mobile phone, and I tell you I want to sell, you will buy. So when you have some people from the other parties that are willing to come and surrender their own platform to APC, how do you expect the APC to shut them down? Doesn't make sense.
So it's good business for you?
It's actually a very good business because they offered for it. As a political party, you are supposed to be guided by ideology, and that ideology is supposed to give you a wall, a defined line between you and the other opponent, so that you will now know that you are confronting them from the east and they are confronting you from the west. But a situation whereby you say that since they are the victors, you are the vanquished, you have submitted completely to the authority, how do you expect any party not to be magnanimous enough to accommodate those acceptance?
Right. That's a very smart way of putting it. But is the SDP, as this emerging force, is the SDP immune to that? I mean, because we saw the likes of Fabio visit, for instance, and people are left scratching their heads when a couple of days later, we're now hearing some, small grumblings within the SDP about, party leadership structure and some people complaining about some things. And it looks like, what's happening with other political parties.
Yes, the previous visit, I was there. In fact, I was the one that even set the ground before they came in during the campaign for Senate presidency. We have 2 SDP senators. So we went to court them, and they asked us to meet them in their party office. So we rushed there to do that. And
you make it sound so regular, like it's a regular thing.
It's actually yes. You are trying to win a coalition. We call then there is a campaign in the National Assembly for a stability group. This stability group is aimed at uniting the National Assembly, partyless unity, whereby there can be cohesion and unanimous running of the place without a lot of rancor. And that was why a stability group was formed. And part of this formation is that we should bring in the opposition members of the of the other parties, and that's what we did, and it worked very well. So it's not really a very bad deal that we went to the SDP's secretariat at that moment. So it's actually a normal thing.
Well, people have reservations about those kinds of visits.
And don't forget again, you mentioned about the APC Ranko inside the SDP. SDP is a Southwest party, right? If you look at the arrangement, the first candidate under SDP is Moshood Abiola. right? Late Mushuna Biola of great memory. Now he was the SDP candidate, and then
they weren't big in the north.
Yeah?
They weren't big in the north.
Yeah, it went big in the north simply because, of course, they not want democracy. They don't want also the military junta, and that's what happened. And the biggest victory of the Hope 93 movement is the renewed hope that you get today. So I don't know.
I'm not sure people will agree, but let's agree to disagree. Before we wrap things up, let's talk about one particular issue that has reverberated over the past 48 hours. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo had some choice words about what's going on right now, about fighting corruption. He said President Muhammadu Buhari is the worst when it comes to fighting corruption, but the Tinubu administration is on course to beat his record when it comes to fighting corruption. He said the wastefulness under APC is just unacceptable, and due diligence has been thrown out of the way, and so on and so forth. What do you make of some of these criticisms by people who actually know how this country is being run?
It's actually fantastic. I like President Olusegun Obasanjo personally because I know him with a candor, with always expressing his mind. He's actually a very, very nice person. But then, this system has always been corrupt. Remember, President Muhammadu Buhari, former president, ran on the basis of clear economic security and then, most importantly, corruption. But he was unable to address it. Why? Because the system is designed in such a way that corruption must thrive for you to even continue to govern. So I want to believe what the Tinubu administration is doing is to break the system, and they do it all together. And a situation whereby you break something, there could be wreckage. And in the process of this wreckage, you now have scavengers picking things all over. And that's what is likely going to happen, what's happening, based on my understanding of the structure that is taking place. So after this wreckage, after this scattering, and then the new engineered system has come to being, the corruption will disappear. Where you have digitally run most of the things, everything is transparent, can be tracked. So how are you going to steal again? So that is what is likely happening. The president is breaking to fix. And that wreckage,
the president had to let go of his minister over corruption, Bete Edumanyu.
Yeah.
Who is, as far as we know, is not under any sort of investigation or prosecution.
Are you sure she's under investigation? She should still.
As far as we know.
Yeah, but she is still under investigation. There is no any agency that came out and cleared her. So this is a good president. He's working on corruption a lot.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for the interesting takes. And of course, I bet the next couple of weeks and months would prove to be an even more dramatic ones as 2027 edges ever closer. Malam Adamu Garba, it's always a pleasure having you on the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
I appreciate you for stopping by this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank
All right. Up next, we talk about some of these mergers and talks about alliances as the Labour Party is once again back in the news. More about the latest developments after this break. Join us again.